Welcome, guys, to another episode. So today's episode is actually a very interesting episode. We have a fun, lively, entertaining guest. We have Kirby, who's going to be joining us today. We're going to be talking about media, press, and it's her first ever time being interviewed. And I told her I'm going to go easy, and you guys know, no, I'm not going easy. And Kirby, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So nice to meet you. My name is Kirby Dixon. And what else you want to know?
Tell us what you do, Kirby. What do you do?
I am a director of publicity at the History Channel, which is a part of ENetworks. And I am also one of the co-founders and co-hosts of the Tables Hours podcast on Lifetime.
Okay.
And a lot of other things on the side.
I mean, that's good. That's good staying busy. So how'd you get started originally?
I have always been a lover of film, a lover of television. Some of my earliest memories are actually going to the theater with my dad and just being obsessed with how things are made, specifically media, right? Film, television. And after college, I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. And after college, I decided, you know what? I want to take this thing seriously. Like, I want to see if I can actually make a career happen in media. And I actually got my first break joining the NBC Universal Page program in New York City. And honestly, the rest is history. Like, everything else after that just seemed to fall into place. And here I am now, a director of publicity at History.
Interesting. So what's the job of being in like director of publicity? What do you do? Are you like if an actor does something crazy, you come in and like, well, technically.
Well, technically, right? That's a little bit of the world of PR. I think a lot of people don't recognize there's a lot of different subsets of publicity and public relations, and I'm specifically in-house, right? I'm in the network side. I am promoting shows, I am promoting our brand, and ultimately also promoting the talent that take place and are a part of our series. But there's also the personal publicity side, right, which is a little more in the familiar territory that you're talking about. Like, something is said and someone needs to come in and do some crisis management, or they're responsible for, really building the personal brands of these individuals. Whereas on my side, I'm really responsible for making sure that our shows are known. People know when to tune in, how to tune in, what the show is about, who's a part of it. And that, runs the gambit between documentaries, scripted series, unscripted series. So it's a lot of fun, but there's a lot that goes into the world of PR. It's really creative in its own way. And it's also really strategic, which makes it a really cool career, I think, for people that are interested in media.
So so this is an interesting question. Do you know any celebrities?
I do.
Okay, let's see.
I do. I've no is a strong word. I've worked with many. How about that? I've worked with many.
Well, technically, okay. That's awesome. That's like so I was talking to my girlfriend and I'm like, I have a very big guest who's gonna be coming on. She's like a really, 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 really big deal. So
That's
just
kind.
that's kind. I know, but so now, very curious. How do you guys promote the shows?
Yeah. So on my end, I look at every campaign differently, right? There's no actual blanket formula as to how to best promote a show. I look at everything really individually because everything's different, right? The types of people that you're working with, the producers, the style of the show, the stories that come out of the show. And scripted is different from unscripted, which is different from reality, which is different from documentary. There's so many different types of media out there. So on my end, we do a lot at History with, 100% original documentary storytelling. So I'm looking at the subjects. I'm watching cuts of our shows and of our documentaries in advance. I'm learning who the directors are, the producers are, the talent that are in front of the camera, and really kind of first and foremost learning their story. Why are you passionate about being a part of this project? Why, if you need to tell me, why do you care? Because if you don't care, then the people watching our series.
What about if you ask them, they're like, well, I'm getting paid a lot of money to care.
I mean, that is the response sometimes, like, right? If this podcast is meant to be real, sometimes that is the case. But a lot of times people don't go on projects without some type of interest in a subject matter or desire to get interested in that subject matter, aside from, the paycheck that they're getting behind the scenes. But really looking at like these stories holistically and seeing what you can pull out to make sure that people, again, know when to tune in, how to tune in, and why should they be excited to tune in to whatever it is that we're promoting.
So I'm curious here. So let's say I have a true story, right? And
Yeah.
say I saw aliens or something, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Something I know about. I
Yeah.
know a lot about the alien UFO world.
Well, really, you do?
I mean, yeah, a lot of our series now on history do cover
Okay,
the paranormal and the UFO space.
okay,
I
okay,
know
okay.
more than I thought I ever would, to be
So
honest.
tell me this. Tell me this. Do you think aliens are real?
I want to plead the fifth there.
You can't plead. No, 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 no. You can't plead the fifth. You guys are literally. I
I
watch History
think
Chat. Yeah.
I think that there are things that we do not know about that may or may not fall into the alien realm, right? By the true definition of what a UFO is, an unidentified aerial phenomenon or an unidentified flying object, yes, those things exist. Do I believe there's a little green man, walking on planet Earth or like, looking at us from above? I don't
Yeah.
know. The jury's still out on that one.
So did you see the video of that lady that was like freaking out on an airplane and she's like, "Ooh, a lizard people on the flights."
I don't
Did
know
you
what
see
you're
that?
talking about. Actually, no,
Wait,
I did
wait, wait,
not.
wait. You did not see that? Okay, okay. Now I have
No,
to pull
put
this
me
up.
on. Put me on.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I have to pull this up. There was a lady. No, 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 no. We can't. No, you cannot be checking History Channel because listen,
Emmanuel, put me on.
I am about to prove to you, Kirby, that aliens are real. Okay,
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 I'm ready. I'm
lady.
ready.
Okay, hold on, lady freaking out. I think it was on flight. Yeah, I think that's the one. Okay, so let me see. No, no. I'm trying to find a short one because so we don't get bored watching
Okay.
this. Okay, all right. Let me go ahead and pull this up. And
I'm ready. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Wait, why is it not showing up? Oh, it'll be nice if I have a producer. I'm not the producer here, so the producer's on here and she doesn't know what I'm pulling up. So, all right, okay, that's the one.
All right, let's do it.
I'm telling you right now.
Oh, yes, I do know this video.
Yeah, see,
Back there is not real.
I want to watch it.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now.
Ooh, look at that.
That back there is not real.
Okay.
You can sit on this plane and you can die with them or not. I'm not going to. And there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they
you
can.
said. Did you hear the one where someone said "bye"?
Yeah,
Did you hear
I did. I
Somebody
did.
was
Clear as
like-
day.
Yeah, someone was like, "Bye," but no.
Someone
okay,
has a
okay.
place to be for sure.
So let's think about this. Okay, now, okay, I'm gonna prove my point because listen, guys. If I have to spend an hour to convince you that aliens are real, I'm gonna convince you.
This is a much different conversation than I thought we were going
This is
in.
this is a different conversation because listen, I just struck a nerve when it came to aliens. Okay, so I'm gonna
Okay.
prove this with facts.
Okay.
Hold on, let me make up the facts first. But did you see the one where the Mexico thing, right? Where the Mexico mummy of aliens, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
real? It looks like a cake. Isn't that real?
Yeah. You're asking the wrong one. I am not qualified to say if that is real or not, but I
Okay.
do know exactly what you're talking about.
All right. Okay. Let's be all right. The pyramids. Think
Okay.
about it. Who do you think created the pyramid? Do you think the Egyptians made the pyramids?
Perhaps.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps.
You're not convinced. You're not convinced. Okay, I'm gonna convince you. Hold on. How many? There's like I don't know, billions of galaxies,
Okay.
right? What are
Yeah.
the odds that it's just us?
The odds are slim. You got me there. The odds are slim.
See?
But can
See?
I say with my own eyes that I have seen the proof to know that these things are real?
I'm trying to convince
don't
you.
know.
And no. You have seen it. Kirby. You've seen something. You've seen something. Tell me the truth. Have you seen aliens? Are they real?
I plead the fifth.
Wait, you have it. You have seen. Oh my god. So are they green or are they like what can you tell?
What do you
Blue?
think? What do you think? You think they look like you and I? Do
Okay,
you think they
Well, I'm an
you seem to
immigrant.
have
So
you have a lot more belief than I do. So I'm wondering,
yes,
what do you think they look
absolutely, yes, I do believe. I absolutely because okay, so this is the reason why I believe in aliens, right? Because for me, I'm like, why is Elon Musk trying to go to Mars? Maybe he's got family there.
Maybe, perhaps. If he said that was true, I would not put it past him, to be honest.
No, but I'm just thinking. But this thing is, I'm just thinking. So I'm a very curious person, right? Same way you got into media. You got into media because you had this passion, but there's also this curiosity because you seem like a very inquisitive person, right? Like you seem like the person is gonna ask like a million questions that everyone's like, oh my god, I have answered it, right? so it's kind of.
I've got a question all the time. Yeah.
Which is good because that's why you're like, I'm not used to being interviewed and you're going to be interviewing me. And I'm like, I'm not really interviewing. But my whole thing is, I'm just thinking like, we believe in God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't seen him.
That's true.
See?
That is true. Everything that you were saying right now is not incorrect.
Yeah.
It's a belief system also passed around from generation to generation to generation to generation. You're right.
Exactly. Yeah, but then again, you said it like, no. You said like you didn't believe it. You said the belief system.
And when it comes to aliens, sure. When it comes to God, it's totally different conversation.
Okay, now you're throwing me off right now because I can't tell you. I can't tell people. Let's go back to the media stuff. All right.
Yeah, let's get back to the meat and potatoes.
Let's get back to which celebrity. All right. Which celebrity don't you like? Which is your least favorite celebrity? Is it Brad Pitt? Which one don't you like? Let's say.
Honestly, I have been really fortunate in my career. I have yet to work with someone who I do not like. I have been blessed with collaborating and working with a lot of incredible celebrities, big celebrities and celebrities that are on the up and up. I've genuinely, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, that is a blessing of mine. I've yet to meet someone that I do not like.
That's based off the belief system that's been passed off to generations.
That's based on the aliens that are currently occupying this room alongside us. Yes.
You never know. Okay, so now you worked with part of the Suits team, right, for the show. Yeah. So like, okay, so I had a lawyer on the last podcast that just came out yesterday, and he was like, one of his questions he asked is, so he asks lawyers that come on his podcast to rate the show. Okay, so if you have beef with him, I'm gonna if you have beef, I'm gonna give you his number. Okay, if you've got beef with him, I'm gonna give you his number. Right? I should have even had him on the podcast.
I worked on that show. Yeah, we could have talked about it.
yes, should have been like, oh my god. Now I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, yeah. So, okay, so he asked lawyers to rate the show, and they say so. One of the comments is like, well, most of the lawyers are like, if I can just sit, in the middle of a high rise drinking a wine,
how nice, right?
Yeah, how nice would that job be? Or how fast do they get into documents and stuff? So, I mean, how much of that show would you say is based on actual real law, and how much of it would you say is like based off of just entertainment?
I think scripted has a space it is an entertainment show, right? It's scripted. It's based on some level of reality in the sense of it's based on a law firm and trying to get people excited about potentially big law, but it was very much so a scripted series made for entertainment with some pieces of reality, I believe, peppered in. But it was an entertainment show, and a lot of people are finding it pretty entertaining now. I know it's on Netflix. So a lot of people are discovering it for the first time. But when I worked on it, it was airing in real time on USA Network. Which is one of the first shows that I got, kind of my feet wet in the PR realm. And it was a lot of fun. It was really cool from my perspective to see how television is made, more so than is the storyline real? Does this actually like represent corporate law or big time law? I feel like lawyers probably have a lot of disagreements there, but from the scripted series and the entertainment factor, I think it was an incredible show, and it was a great show to learn how PR works. And like I said, how to make a television show. That was one of my first series that I got the opportunity to work on.
Well, congratulations on that. That's a really, really big series. Yes, that's
it was cool.
Is your name on the credits?
No. Publicists very rarely have the opportunity to get their names on any credits. We are responsible for promoting the shows, not making it.
Well, because you could be like, I'm like, oh my God, listen, her name was on there. But okay, so
no, I'm not that cool.
But okay, I know a way you can get your name on the credits.
Okay, let me know.
It's a very interesting way. It's like absolutely no one has ever thought of this. It is like this is like a make or break moment. Mm-hmm. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You could go be an actress.
Well, yeah, of course. Of course.
See, genius. Told you, genius. I'll send you the bill. But so any interest in acting at all?
I never say never, but right now that's not really where my passion lies in being, an actor or an actress in a film or television series. But like I said, I'll never say never.
Never say never.
Never say never.
Same way you refuse to accept that aliens might be real.
At the end of this podcast, I promise you, perhaps my perspective will change on whether aliens are real or not.
Well, I'm not doing a really good job convincing you. there's a difference. I'm not really doing a good job. But so how would you? Are you in California?
No, I'm actually on the East Coast. Normally in New York. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you something. All right.
Okay.
So have you seen the movie Coming to America?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm African. So originally, when I came to, when the movie's like, I'm looking for my princess, and he goes, we need to go to, he's like, we need to go to Queens, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
so
course.
when I went to New York, I was expecting this, like, when you the song like New York, blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Alicia Keys, Jay-Z, of course.
Alicia Keys. Yeah, that's the one. And I went to New York, and I'm like, oh hell no! I saw a big. When I mean this rat.
A rat.
I saw, and I took the subway because I'm like, you can't go to New York without taking the subway. I had never been traumatized before.
You only saw one?
I saw one. That I don't know if that was a rat or that was a cat. That was a rat. That was a rat or a mouse. But
a cat, a rat the size of a cat.
I'm like, what did they feed them here? Like, did they work out? Are they on like steroids or something? But I saw it, but it was like but I also went during the pandemic, so it was like also the city was closed down. I remember I was there with friends, and she was like, "Hey, we're gonna go check out this place." I'm like, "What time are we leaving?" She goes, "Yeah, we're leaving at 11:30," and we went there. They were closed. Like, don't you know there's a curfew? We close at 10 p.m. All right, so it's like
the city that never sleeps, right?
The city never sleeps, but apparently started sleeping, right? Yeah. Do you think you're ever gonna move out of New York to a much more warmer, nicer place?
Again, I never thought I was going to move to New York in the first place. So yeah, it's definitely possible that I'll be going somewhere else. New York's a special place, it's got its dirt like every place does, but there's a lot of charm in a city like that. And I feel like you, especially, someone like me that was getting started in my career and kind of moved very quickly, you really learn your boundaries in living in a city like that and your street smarts. Like, I grew up in Philadelphia, which is, people have their things to say about that. But okay. In New York, I was truly by myself. I had to find my community. I was literally on the subway every day. And the exposure to people and things and opportunities that you get in New York, similar to LA, but different, is unlike anywhere else, So I get you. I'm sorry. The rats are really traumatizing. But the city's cool.
Well, if you mentioned Philly's a very interesting city. I mean, what part of Philly?
Hey, not too much.
No. Listen. I wasn't okay. There's the part of Philly that they say be very careful in, right? Which is it's a specific direction, West Philly.
I was gonna say West Philadelphia, born and raised. Okay, Will Smith.
Wait. You're born and raised in West Philly?
I am not. I was not.
Oh,
I was not born in West Philly.
I was about to say, if that means, like, when you said street smarts, like if you were born in West Philly, that is the definition of street smarts. So there is an African restaurant that is in the West Philly area, right? Really, really good. So I didn't know, like, and it was kind of cold, so I didn't know. So there was this coat that a friend of mine. So a friend of mine is an air marshal, right? So this is my career back then. So we were staying it's kind of like there's a house, but we all kind of had a room sharing a house. And so I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go get this stuff. It's like, yeah, you can take my car. So he has like the cars that the FBI and like the Secret Service and kind of big Ford. So, and it was cold, so I had a jacket. I had like those long coat jackets, and I had the glasses. So I went to West Philly dressed like that. And then I started getting like really, really weird stares. Like people were looking at me like, is this the popo? Kind of like looking at me like, like looking at me in a very, and I remember so I was like, one of the guys, like, he looked at me, he goes, "You a Fed?" And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, if I was, why would I be in here getting African restaurant, getting food? Right. And I didn't understand it. So I went, I got in, I got my stuff. I went back because I'm like, listen, people might have the wrong notion. Next, I'm end up on the news. So
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Exactly, because this podcast would not be happening.
Exactly.
Someone else will be doing your first interview when you're a famous actress. In the next couple of years. Just FYI, guys, I did the first interview, so make sure you put this here.
I see what you're manifesting for me.
Listen, you can be famous if you're same way aliens are real. You could be famous, right? And I'm like, I did the first podcast. I need something to brag about.
I appreciate it.
Okay, Kirby. Okay, Kirby.
Yes.
All right. So I remember I went back home and I was telling the guys my experience. So I'm like, for some reason I had a weird feeling, and one of the guys was like, dude, looking at you right now, you look like a fit. Like you look like you're trying to arrest somebody. I was like,
An undercover.
Yeah, like
agent.
yeah. It's like you don't even. It's not like it's not undercover. He goes, you look like you're a rookie. Like you're supposed to be undercover, but you went full gear, and I'm like, oh. But I'm like, I got us food though, and nothing happened because they probably were scared too. They're like, yeah, he's a Fed. So there's probably other cars.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start rolling with that when I go to film.
All right. Well, here's my. Okay. Did you get a cheesesteak while you were there? And which one did you go to?
Of course, I got a cheesesteak, but no, I got the one at the airport.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony Luke's. I got a Tony Luke's cheesesteak, so it wasn't the same.
You got to go back. Just wear a different outfit, I guess.
No, but that's the thing. I got to work on my Philly accent. I got to work on my Philly accent.
I have a Philly accent? Do you think I have one?
No, you don't.
Yeah, I know. I get that a lot.
No, you sound like you're bougie. You got the bougie accent.
Not a bougie accent.
Yeah, you got the bougie. Like, I'm a Hollywood celebrity.
Let me pull out the water ice. Water ice. We'll change it.
I love it. So let's talk about the podcast. So what's the Table is Ours podcast?
Yeah, the Table is Ours podcast is a podcast that myself and a coworker turned really good friend created and pitched in about 2018. It's a podcast that highlights, celebrates, and Black people from all different types of industries: media, sports, television, film, social justice, all of these different topics. And we talk to them about unconventional things that they don't normally have the opportunity to chat about. A lot of times people are promoting projects, and that's really cool, and talking to someone about what they're promoting is amazing. But we wanted to go deeper and talk to them about things that we really were interested and invested in speaking to them about. So it's sponsored by Lifetime. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's great. It was a podcast that we created during a time where we were really, I'll tell you the story. So the story time. So myself and my friend Amira were working really, really late in the office one day. We're the only ones in the office. Literally, when the lights turn down, like they go down because it's like, okay, y'all shouldn't be here. Well, we had a lot of work, and she and I started chatting, and we talked a lot about legacy, right? Like, what's the legacy that you think you want to leave on this world, especially in the media industry, and especially being at a time where we didn't see or we didn't feel that we saw ourselves on the content that we're working on. We wanted to do something about it. And so we thought, well, what if we do a podcast? What if we have a conversation with people we talk about and highlight Black folks that we really respect and think are doing incredible things? And a couple years later, it came into fruition. We did not pitch ourselves as co-hosts. It's something that we had never done before in our lives, but you take a chance on yourself. If you're going to bet on other people, if you're going to bet on anybody, you might as well bet on yourself first. And that's what we did, and it got made. And yeah, it's a product that we both, and myself especially, are really, really proud of. So it's cool. Check it out if you have not listened to it before.
All right, guys, definitely check out the Table is Ours podcast. I'm going to be putting a link in the description, and also go ahead. We'll put Kirby's LinkedIn, so make sure to go tell you the truth about where aliens are, because I know she's hiding something. Okay, this alien, she's seen them. We know she's seen them. We know. We want proof that she's seen them. All right. So also, what's interesting? So what do you guys talk about on the podcast? What's the few topics like when you talk about?
Yeah, we've spoken about a lot of different things, right? We've spoken about imposter syndrome. We're two Black girls navigating corporate America, and that comes with its own set of challenges and accomplishments, right? So we speak about it. We've spoken about imposter syndrome. We've gone into, Black maternal health. We've spoken about mental health, both personal mental health and mental health in the workplace. We have spoken about, oh my goodness, a lot of things: brand building, community building, social justice, all of these different things, with a lot of really incredible guests that have really opened our eyes to what it means to be a celebrity or someone in the forefront of really big industry. So it's I promise you, if you take a look, you see the guests that we've spoken with, and some of the topics that we've covered, there's something for everybody, or we hope there is.
No, I love it. I'm definitely, guys, go check it out. This is
Yeah.
honestly, forget about the alien stuff. Definitely go check it out. But no, let's talk. So actually, I did an episode. So one of the things I like to do is I like to do solo, which give you a little origin before I ask this question. So a little origin why I started the podcast was, so I've been in corporate world. I've started 3 different businesses, most of them, which I kind of, the weirdest thing is businesses that I start don't fail. I just get bored. So it's
Flex.
kind of weird. Huh?
I said that's a flex.
It's not even a flex. It's kind of like it's like a therapy. Like, I need therapy. Like, hey, why are you just throwing money away? So
Yeah.
so, but no, one of the key reasons why I started this was because I've always been like, there's a thirst and a quench, like, for knowledge, right? I want to learn
Yeah.
more. So, when I do solo podcasts, is because I research a topic and I'm very fascinated by the topic. So then I talk about it and then someone's like, oh yeah, I saw you check this out, and it was so interesting. So there was an AI. So we work a lot with AI, like artificial
Yeah.
products. And so there was a company, I never really thought anything about it. I just looked them up. I really loved the product and I spoke about it, and my phone kept blowing up. All right. And I'm like, okay, it's a spam. And then people are like, hey, do you do this? And I'm like, hey, guys, okay, I'll pay you $5,000 to set this up for me. And I'm like, I don't even know. I was just like,
You struck a nerve. You were interested, and you see that a lot of people are interested too. Yeah.
People start reaching out, and I'm like, okay, it's like $5,000. I guess I gotta learn how this stuff works. And then next, so I'm like, I'm not.
And then you have a third business. Then you have a fourth business.
Yes, but the thing about me, for me is it's a weird thing. It's like, I like to say it. I need a, I call it a black hole, like a dark hole of like you can never learn enough.
Yeah.
Because the reason why because I was in insurance, for instance, and the thing about it was I kind of got too good at it. I got bored of it. So it was never about money, because someone's like, hey, you know how much you get? I was like, I don't really, the money's fine. The money's great. But and I think, because someone's gonna listen to this like, oh, the ego in this man. Oh my God. Oh, listen, we all have haters. So I love my haters, by the way, because
haters mean you're doing something right.
Yes, because you know what I found? When you look at the people that share your content, it's mostly haters. It's mostly haters. So guys, clip this stuff and share it, please. Okay.
Guys, don't hate on me, please. I can't handle it.
Kirby? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, she can't handle it. No, because she knows aliens. And remember, if you hate her, she's gonna send a little green alien to your door. Okay. So no, but I started because I was very, very intrigued. But then what was interesting was the podcast started picking up. And then I remember this one girl, she goes, she's like, hey, I watch your podcast. I'm like, why do you watch the podcast? She's, I don't know, it came on my feed. And then another person's like, oh, and then someone was like, I didn't even know this lady. She was like, oh my God, I saw you at the mall. And it starts conversation and you pod. And I was like, you saw me at the mall. I'm like, this sounds like stalker. And then people are like, and then it's like, get to the point where it honestly started, and then my girlfriend was like, you're famous. And I'm like, no, I'm not famous. I'm not famous. Don't say that. But it's this weird feeling. And there was a point in which I actually was going to shut down the podcast because I felt like it was, how would I put it? I didn't deserve the, what is what I'm saying? The attention in this. It just felt, that. So it was that element of that imposter syndrome. And I actually was at a point in which I was about to, and then I thought to myself, and I was like, well, if I'm doing it for the fame, then yes, because I don't feel like I deserve when people are like, hey, or someone's like, hey, my son looks up to you. Like, why? My question is always like, why? Yeah. I'm like, you could pick someone else. I can give you a list. I can give you names. Listen, I can give you rostered a name. But how do you deal with someone who's in that position where they're going through, they achieving success or something, and they don't feel like they've earned it, or they don't feel, they self-sabotage almost because of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there a lot, right? Like, I think at the start of this conversation, remember we were talking about in developing PR campaigns, and one of the questions that I always ask is like, well, why do you care? Like, is this subject matter important to you? Why are you doing this, right? And people have really different responses to those things. And I kind of, in response to what you're saying, that is literally imposter syndrome 101. You're questioning your abilities and your capabilities and the reason why you were put in this place at this time to do this thing, right? That's touching a lot of different people. And I think it comes a little bit with age, a little bit with experience, that you learn to quiet that voice in the back of your head that is questioning why you, right? It's exactly what happened when you reached out to me for this podcast. I'm like, me? My response to you was like, are you serious? Like, you want to talk to me about this, about my career or about the things that I'm doing? Why? Like, why? It's like this question. And eventually I sat back and I was like, you know what? Why not? But that's come a lot with experience. That's come a lot with, being more confident in who you are and knowing that if it's not you, then it's going to be somebody else. So again, why not believe in yourself and understand that you were put on this earth for a reason, to do a thing, to touch somebody else, and really stand in that power. It's something that has taken me a really long time to really understand. I still have moments of imposter syndrome, right? Like, you hear my title and maybe that makes you feel a certain way, but I questioned it a lot. But eventually you get more confident and you really know what the heck you're doing, and you're really good at telling stories. And I'm always looking at your podcast and all of, like you're saying, you just like talking to people and you like learning a lot of different things. And it shows the types of topics and the questions that you're exploring with people. You just like talking to interesting people about interesting things that spark your interest at this time. That's good enough. And if someone resonates with it, it's just a plus. So I feel like really starting to tap into your confidence and understanding that everyone is put on this earth for a reason, and standing in your power is what starts to quiet that voice in the back of your head. So instead, it's not like, why me? It's why not me?
Yeah.
Why not?
But what's interesting, so this is what's interesting. So I actually did research on this and started studying, but there's about let me see if I can pull this because there was an article, and I believe I covered this article very, very recently on imposter syndrome. But people who with 10 years of experience still report having imposter syndrome, which means they've been at the job, they are the creme de la creme, and they still say that I have imposter syndrome.
And take it a step further, usually it's women more than men.
Yes, actually, yes. And it's which is also interesting. Why do you think that is? I'm not a woman, so I can't comment on it.
Society.
How so?
Like, I mean, if you look at the people at the top, you look at the opportunities that we've been given, you look at the ways in which women have not had the same opportunities or ability to climb for instance, I'm just going to say corporate America, right? The corporate ladder, have the same opportunities, the ability to speak and be heard in a room. It's not just one thing just to be able to speak. Like, are you being heard? Are people really paying attention and valuing the things that you're saying? Like, it's societal. It's literally intrinsic, and it's something that I try to combat in my own world. And I think we're getting better. Like, some corporations are better than others, but yeah, it's societal. It is systemic. It is something that's been happening for a really, really long time. And at this point, we are fighting against, again, a system.
So here's my thing. Let's say the system. Okay. But now let's say when, because 30% of female executives actually, are reporting having, some sort of imposter syndrome, which means she's come to climb to the creme de la creme, the top of the top, like the mountain, looking at everything is like, bow down to me. But obviously not saying that she's saying that, obviously not. But why is it that there's still that? Because, I know what you said in a sense is to, for years, women haven't been in the workforce, and then, you're looking about the opportunities perspective. But why isn't it now it's like you're at that top, but it's still that element of imposter syndrome, like I'm here, I've arrived?
I think there's a lot of factors that are forcing you to feel like you are not meant to succeed, and eventually those voices get loud, and a lot of people sometimes succumb to those voices. I don't have the actual statistics, but I do know there's a couple of, oh my God, I wish I could remember the terminology, but there is a word for that. Of women executives specifically at the top kind of questioning their capabilities, and eventually they begin or the people around them are questioning their capabilities and not even giving them a standing chance to begin with. And because of that, they kind of succumb to the errors of what imposter syndrome ultimately does. I wish I could pull it out of my head. I know what I'm talking about. I just don't know the terminology, but there is almost like, it's not a glass ceiling, it's like the opposite of that. And so we succumb to the pressures of it, but that's not going to happen for much longer.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing then. Okay, so isn't it? I want to be very interested in my choice of words here, because me and you can understand the same thing, but one of those haters is going to clip this and edit it, and then next I'm going viral.
Next thing you know, you said the wrong thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Next I'm like, but that wasn't even me. But
context is important.
Context is important, right? So I'll give you an example. So my sister, for instance, my sister played a very, very big role in my life. So in a sense, So one of the most successful people I know and I learned about business was from my sister. When I mean, I come from a family of five. One of my late sisters, may so rest in peace. But my brother and I, okay. But my sister, when I mean, she built the business in a span of 2 years where I was like, she was making sugar mama money. Okay, that's
Wow.
basically the best way to put it. But when one of the key things that drives her is when people tell her she can't do something, right? But which is also interesting because is it's and the same thing for me as well. When people tell me I can't do something, it's like I feel a
You want to prove them
fire.
wrong.
Yeah, but then you do it and then you get there and you're like, okay, now what? So isn't it kind of like isn't it in a way like having that force to fight against forces you to be a better person? It forces you to improve more as opposed to if there was nothing.
To some people, but that's not everyone's reality. Some people don't need that doubt or that you can't do this. Let me show you that I can.
Hmm.
Ability to succeed. I think I'm definitely somebody that drives and thrives off of someone telling me that I can't do something. I'm really good at telling you that I can.
Hmm.
Or if I don't know how to do something, give me a little bit of time and I'll show you that I can learn how to do that said thing.
Hmm.
But I do think when it comes to imposter syndrome, and especially when it comes to, people at the top, women at the top, you really, really, really do need male advocates, people who are listening to you into a room and they're not taking your ideas. If Susie said something and then Jimmy said it and everyone agrees with Jimmy, but it was literally Susie's idea, well, guess what, Jimmy? You need to say that this was actually exactly what Susie said, right? You need those advocates that are able to make sure that people that look like me at the top of their game, I mean, I'm not there yet. I aspire to get there.
Hmm.
But at the top of my game, like I have advocates in the room. So it's not just me solo. No, show me an executive. Actually, this is a challenge, but show me an executive that's at the top of their game, and I promise you they did not get there by themselves. It's impossible. It's hard, and it's someone that told me that says that they did. I you'd have to prove it to me. Like I do not think that people at the top got there only by their own well-being. They had advocates, they had mentors, they had people that believed in them and listened to them in the room, and eventually their imposter syndrome got quieted. And that's what I'm hoping that a lot more people that look like me have the opportunity to do, and gain that mentorship and that advocacy in the room so that their voice is, like I said, is listened to, heard, and acknowledged.
Then. So now this, which brings me to this, because you seem like a very, very driven person. You seem like someone where if somebody tells you you can't do something, you smile like, and the next thing you know, you're like, like I can't say the word because this is gonna be on LinkedIn. So, but it's a specific five. It's a five, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's a 5-letter word. You guys can Google
Okay.
it. There's multiple words, but you can Google it. So, what is the end goal for you? When are you gonna say, you know what, I'm here, I've arrived? What is that vision for you?
My end goal is still being written. I don't know if I will ever get to a point where I'm completely complacent and happy with what I've done. I'm kind of like you. I'm a super inquisitive person. I'm very goal oriented, and I'm really interested in a lot of different things. And at first, I thought that was when I was starting out my career. I thought that was a problem, right? Like I had a really hard time being siloed to one thing, like just this division within the industry, just this part of the media. I think a lot of times people are multifaceted and they have a lot of different interests. And so I'm really trying to navigate this opportunity and ability to be successful in a lot of different things. So when you talk about like what my end goal is, it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. But I think there is a little bit of my career so far in which you can see a lot of my interests manifested, right? Like I work in publicity and I'm able to help build the brands of our network as well as the people that I'm working with. I have a podcast, right? I'm learning that was a passion of my creativity that I was hoping to get out, being able to talk to people and see what really drives them and fuels them, learning how to produce, learning how to co-host, right? Like, how do you ask really good questions? That's something I didn't know I was interested in until it happened. I work with CultureCon. I'm a talent producer. I love booking. I love working with managers and agents, as complicated and hard as it can be, and putting on events and those things. So to answer your question, I'm really not, right? I'm kind of going around it, but I don't know what that end goal looks like yet. My story is definitely still being written. And I'll come back on. Once I get there, I'll let you know.
I love it.
But right now, I'm just excited. Yeah, I'm excited to continue to move forward in all the different things that I'm doing. It's been really challenging at times, but for the most part, it's almost always really rewarding because I'm never putting myself in spaces that I'm not interested in to begin with.
I love it. I love it. And guys, just in the future, when you're dating this back when she's out there famous and all, walking the red carpet, getting
Oh
invited to the
my
Grammys and
gosh.
Tonys and everything. So let you guys know it started here. Okay, just want to let you know. Okay, I just want to go ahead and put that in the ether so everyone kind of understands. Remember when we were saying Jimmy and all that credit and stuff? It started here, guys. Okay, so which brings me to this question. So based on judging by your drive, do you think people find? I'll give you an example. So it's best to say story because the last podcast today we did was about stories. So I'm going to put a story.
Yeah.
So
Tell me a story. I'm ready.
It's not really a very positive, nice, exciting story like the ones you tell. So it's like it's a little bit less like, okay, now.
Okay.
All right. So one of my late sister so she practically raised me. So my mom was, since I was 2, my mom had been sick, she'd been paralyzed. So pretty much my sister was the one that raised me. Mm-hmm. And watching her, so my brother never took an interest in my father's business. Like he was like, you know what? I'm gonna be in the streets doing what you do in the streets. It's like, keep your sisters away from him, basically.
Okay.
But long story short, so my sister rose up the ranks in the company. She ended up being it was like an equivalent of the vice president of the company. But what I ended up noticing was people were intimidated by her. Right? When I mean intimidated, so one of the things she did was she struggled in dating. Relationships was because almost every time guys would look at her, they would be like, there was like an intimidated because she made way more money than they did. She was more successful than they were. So it was almost like, and I remember I remember one time she was I had gone to work, I traveled because this was back home. So I traveled and I came back home and she was introducing the guy she was dating to my father. And I'm like, I said I can't say the word, but you guys can pretty much fill in the blank. And I'm like, I almost want to say it, but I'm like, I can't say the word because it's technically just because when you get famous they're gonna play this back, so I can't. I want to make sure you can
when you get famous, really.
Either one. But so it was like, I'm like, what are you doing with this? And I remember she told me, she's like, I can't find. She goes, she's like, I'm here. I'm at this pinnacle of my success, and it's hard. And I was like, interesting. So. Which makes a question for you, because she was very driven. What I mean, she was very driven. She was very driven. She was the first person in the office. She was one of the last people to leave. She was in every business meeting. I mean, her work ethic was insane. Mm-hmm. Would you say people were intimidated by your drive?
I can't speak for those people. If they are, doesn't that sound like more like a them problem than a me problem?
I mean, that's a gangster response to it,
that's kind of like my first, reaction. But I have surrounded myself with, and I have family that are very, have always been very driven. I have community and friends and people around me who are very driven, and perhaps that, rubs off on me. And so if anything, the people that surround me, which community is so important, the people you surround yourself with, I'm encouraged, I'm inspired by the drive around me. I've yet to be intimidated. If anything, it makes me, want to go a little bit harder. So I don't know. I can't really answer for other people if they're intimidated by my drive. If anything, I hope I'm inspiring to people, and hope that they find their drive and a passion in ways in which they are just as excited to do anything and everything to make their dream a reality, versus intimidated and kind of shying away from approaching me or coming up to me or asking me questions. I will say I do lead with kindness, right? There's an intimidation factor that I feel like some people walk with a certain type of confidence, or maybe they, have a mean mug on their face. That's just never been my MO. It's never been my demeanor. So I think there's a level of compassion and kindness that comes from my drive, and that emanates, I hope. So it's more of that approachability factor than that intimidation. But again, if somebody's intimidated by your drive, I encourage them to figure that out. It's a them problem, not a you problem.
Interesting. No, you mentioned something about the not having, you approach with kindness and not a mean mug. So what's funny was the other day I was watching one of the episodes back, and I remember I was super hungry when I did that episode. I was so hungry.
Mistake 101. You can't be hungry.
I know. I was so hungry. It was just every And I remember he was talking, and he was, kind of saying we were talking, right? And at the time, there were, I didn't have my producer on to kind of, go in between, navigating between. So I was kind of like this.
Because you're thinking about burgers and fries and all of these things. Any answer that's
I know, but I was looking at it, and then to me, I was thinking I mean, it was a phenomenal guest, but I was like, oh my god, I need to eat. I was like, and then I'm looking at the time, and I was like, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I was like, okay, 45 minutes. Oh my god. But I looked at it, and I'm like, and the girlfriend, she was laughing. She goes, if I'm looking at it,
she knew that face.
She was like, she goes, she always makes a joke. She goes, you have she goes, and she does it. She's like, smile. Like, oh, and another thing, which is also interesting. How important do you think is the fixing people needs to fix their teeth?
Oh, wait, it went away. What'd you say?
How important would you say? Yeah. How important would you say? Let me get the camera back on me there. And camera's back on me. Okay. So how important would you say the importance of fixing the teeth?
Like if I have something in my teeth?
No, not you. No, like people fixing their teeth.
To have a nice smile?
Yeah.
I mean, if it makes you feel more confident, hey, each their own. But
come on, Kirby. You've seen some people with some teeth where you're like, they smile, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, but if it's you, not me, if you don't want to fix it, I'm not going to be the one to tell you to do so. I thought you meant like if someone has something in their teeth, I'm like, yeah, please tell me. If there's something in my teeth, please let me know. But if you have weird, different teeth that aren't, you don't like it, get it fixed. What did Cardi B say? Got a bag and fix my teeth? Hope you know it ain't cheap.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. It's not cheap. It is not cheap, guys. So one of the things which is interesting, which is going to bring the point I was talking about, was I had one of those teeth that looks like I had gone through a grinder. Like my teeth was used to grind, so it was like everywhere. Like it was like bent. It was like
this is a personal anecdote. That's why you asked me that question.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. So I never would smile because you smile and then people look at your teeth like, ooh. There's a you remember the kid? There's a meme of the kid going, Jesus Christ. You know that?
Yeah, I do.
So it was like there's this part of me that's like, people are gonna be like, oh my god. And then I fixed the teeth, and it was like, oh my god, gorgeous smile. And then my girlfriend's like, oh my god, I love your teeth. I'm like, because you weren't here before, okay? You weren't here in the struggles. You were not here when I was struggling with that teeth, okay?
But the question is, did you feel more confident after fixing it? It was a thing. You did it for yourself.
Yes. Oh my god, let me tell you something. People underestimate the little things make a difference. Like the little things make a difference, because now I'm learning to smile. Now I'm walking around. I'm like, like people are like, sir, it's raining. Why are we seeing your teeth? It's like, listen, you were not there before. Okay, so you don't get to judge. If only you knew, you don't get to judge. So let me be smiling. But no, so it's like, it's in a sense as to, I totally lost my train of thoughts where I was going.
I lost it too. I can't even help bring you back.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I still lost my train of thoughts, but I want to talk about this. So, the writers, obviously, people in Hollywood, you're famous. You're probably going to be really famous in the next few years. And then people are going to watch this podcast like, whoa, it started here. But the writers strike.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Good for them. I'm glad that, they finally are being listened to and heard and came to an interim agreement. It made a lot of people's jobs really challenging, but no one can believe as challenging as the people that were literally on the picket lines. Actors are still on the picket lines trying to get the respect and the voice that they deserve. Like I'm totally with it. I will say, kind of in my world, to tie it back to working at History, we're doing documentaries and nonfiction programming. So we were affected a little less than I think other networks were that are working largely on scripted series and have full writers' rooms and things of that nature. So it did affect us a little less, which was, in my world, a blessing. But again, I stand with them. Like, well done, kudos. That is no small feat. And to think that your livelihood was gone for months, like, wow. I'm really happy for them, and hopefully, the actors, our SAG members, will come to an agreement soon too.
Yeah, I think there was they reached a deal yesterday.
Yeah,
I think they did reach a deal. I was following because I was going to talk about the Hollywood strike in the next podcast, which is interesting. So
I mean, it's still, I think a lot of people, don't know much about it. I think if you're in the industry, it looks entirely different than if you're outside of the industry. I think what people understand and know differs. So there's a lot of people that spew a lot of noise and questions and don't understand exactly what is happening. And there's people inside that know exactly the ins and outs of what they're fighting for and what they can and cannot do. And, the significance of for instance, these not interim agreements, but some people are able to promote their projects. Why is that? So I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, it was a really interesting time for this industry, and it's not done yet because, like I said, the writers reached an agreement, super excited, but the SAG actors are still fighting. They're still on the picket lines.
Interesting.
But you should definitely do. I will tune into that.
Yeah, no, because I wanted to. I'm going to talk because I like to do. So when I talk a lot, I like to do both sides. People who agree and people who disagree. Right? It's because you can never have when I watch, and I see people talk like there's a person that was like, "Hey, you talk too close to the mic," and I'm like, yeah. But it's like you want both sides, because if somebody just 100% agrees with you, it gets boring, right? You kind of want someone to be like that. You need that toxic relationship with your audience, right? So
that's when you quit your own business. That's exactly right. You get bored. That's when you quit your own business.
Exactly. Thank you for putting that. You see, that's exactly why I had you on the podcast. And exactly, and then But no. So which brings me to this question, right?
Yeah.
ChatGPT. You got to know what it is.
Yeah.
Wait. Why that face though?
No, I'm interested in what you're going to ask, only because I'm not as well versed in the AI universe as I should be. But go ahead.
You were about to say IA. That's how I know you weren't versed.
I
You're in the AI universe. So I mean, which okay. So what do you think? So the last guy I had on, which podcast is, he was talking about the in the music industry, right? So right now, they're working on a way in which AI can basically write the songs, speak the songs, produce the songs, and they can just imagine you tune on Amazon and it's what would you like to listen to? I would like to listen to Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson, and then boom, it put pieces of song together, and the next thing you listen to Frank Sinatra, Sun Flying High. No, I don't think that's it, but and then you listen Smooth Criminal. Dun, 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 dun.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. But what do you think is the role of
that one cracked you up?
Oh my god, I crack myself up sometimes because
listen, you're gonna need it for the youngest generations. They're gonna be like, "Woo, what?" Michael Jackson.
I know, but then again, it's like no. But the thing is, the youngest generation, which is interesting, is they do you have a specific time you have to be done?
No.
Okay. So the youngest generation, right? So the youngest generation, I don't think they're the future, right? I see the future. I don't. I personally don't. Which is kind of because you think about it, they're very tech savvy, but attention span very low, right? Very low. I don't know if you've ever spoken to someone who's a Gen Z, and you're like, hey, and then they're just looking at you, and then you're like, are you Gen Z?
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay.
But I do have family members who are. Yeah.
Yes, Gen Z, and another thing I don't think people take a lot is criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think criticism is necessary. I think if somebody, people tell them hey, ABC is this, and I actually take the criticism okay, is it constructive? Can I build off on it? Versus, some people would take it to heart and then they just identify with that criticism.
Yeah.
Right. So
constructive
criticism.
I love constructive criticism. Yeah.
Yeah, but then, yeah, but a lot of people can, especially the new generation, cannot take the constructive criticism. Even if it's constructive, even if you say, hey, your phone should be this way, or your phone is the wrong way, but I think if you did this way and this way, I believe it'll work. What do you think? And you're like, I can't sleep at night.
Yeah, but then that's also a generation that's constantly being criticized because of social media anyway. So perhaps it's just tomato.
True, but then again, we need a generation. We need a generation to be all right, yeah, that's our focus generation. But I don't know. I have a 5-year-old son, and I look at him every time. I'm like, you know how to use an iPad. I'm like, I remember. Do you know the Nokia 3310? Do you know the Nokia phone?
I know the Nokia phone.
Yeah. So that was my first phone. So let me for context, guys. That phone, you could charge it at 100%. You know how your iPhone, you charge it in 4 to 5 minutes, it's dead. But that phone, you could charge it and leave it for 5 years
Days.
and it'd still be like 100. It'd still be 100. Kid you not. So one of the things my dad, this was obviously Nigeria, guys. This is not in America before someone starts looking up legal stuff. So he
Yeah,
had, yeah. So I was like, oh yeah. So he had one of his staff members who pissed him off so badly that the guy was running across the street, and my dad was so angry that he grabbed the phone and
and like whacked it.
Yeah, and whacked it. And this phone was straight projectile, and actually hit. And I was like, whoa! And guess what? The phone was fine.
Yeah, the person wasn't, but the phone was. Yeah.
Yeah, but the phone was. And I'm like, I if only they build phones like that, but they don't build it anymore. You can't. It's almost like which is also weird, which is interesting. So, what do you think is the census to? We live in an industry now. We live in a world now, which I was going to ask in AI stuff, where instant gratification. iPhone comes up with a new product every single year, right? People want something new. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I think we need to evolve with the world, but I will say, like, I really hope that people understand and really take the time to understand the implications of what technology can bring. Like, there's a lot of incredible ways in which it has been and will continue to be utilized and move us forward. There's also a lot of dangers that come along with it, right? Like, I am of the millennial generation, but I'm also like one of those really old school minded folks that kind of like, I'm not really on social media that much. I don't really love it. Chat GPT is something that I'm getting used to, right? And I see the negative implications just as much as I see the possibilities. So I'm a little skeptical when it comes to that stuff. But it's interesting. I just had a conversation about this today in which someone said that, eventually a lot of people need to understand that when it comes to AI in particular, like it's unlikely that AI is going to replace a human to do their job, right? But it is possible that a human that does not take the time to understand how to utilize AI will replace another human. So it's like this idea of like evolving with the times, and whether you like it or not, at least understanding how to use it for good. And I guess for bad, but hopefully not. So I rambled again. I forgot your question, but that point really stuck with me, where it's like somebody like me that could be a little more hesitant to adopt like these new technologies really needs to kind of embrace it in a way. And even if whether I use it or not, especially in my role, right? Like in the PR world, there's things that I think, wow, like if we can get like AI or like Chat GPT utilized to do X, Y, and Z things, that would free me up a lot. But I'm also, like I said, I'm a realist, and as far as I am able to navigate this career thing of mine and have a handle on it, I will hopefully use it as an enhancement and not as a replacement.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. No, to not use it as which is interesting. You kind of brought it up as to AI will replace. So one of the services that which literally came off of having the video that I did that apparently was like calling me about, was one of the services we started to offer was so to have these companies reach out to me and say, hey, I need a conversational AI that can you design me an AI that can do let's say it's a medical field, right? And they're like, hey, you just go into the doctor, right? The AI will call you and be like, hey, Kirby, how you doing today? You'll be like, hey, I say, awesome. Hey, Kirby, I see here that you have this, how's your dog doing? And hey, I just want to let you know that you have your doctor's appointment coming up. Are you going to be there, or would you like to reschedule? And you're like, yeah, I want to be there. And you're like, awesome. Hey, and you ask like, hey, what's your name? My name is Eleanor. And you have a full conversation, right? And then you show up to the doctor's office and you're like, oh, I really like you guys' new assistant that I spoke to on the phone. She was awesome. She was nice. She was courteous. And they're like, well, that was a robot.
Yeah.
Right. So that was one of the services that we started to offer. But then it's kind of like in a point in which, I was talking to somebody about it, and she goes, which she kind of painted me as a villain for this one. So, I'm not a villain.
Okay.
She goes, that job that AI just came and did right now, it took away a job from someone else. And I was like, yeah. She goes, you probably geeked out and stoked the people who are using your service. I was like, yeah. And she's like, but what are you going to do about that person? And then I actually thought about it. And I was like, I never, because when there's a saying, I just learned this from the last podcast. He said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
That's deep.
Right? Yeah, I know. That's what I was like, yeah. I was like, and I just learned that, and I'm actually using it That's good.
That's
Yeah,
deep.
but
Yeah.
it's like it's and then I started thinking about it, and I was like, and we're marketing it and we're promoting it, and we're like, let's say, a mega company now says, hey, contract us and say, hey, we needed to do this, and now 200 people are not working. That's 200 people that can't feed the family. So then it's like now it's kind of like not thinking about it from perspective of like, are you helping or are you hurting?
But this goes back to what you were saying when you meet like people on both sides of the aisle. That's exactly what it's meant to do, right? You're having a conversation about expanding your perspective, and there is no right answer. There's no right or wrong answer in that regards. But I think the ways in which the world has evolved, even from like centuries, decades ago, have we not evolved in a way in which we've also taken jobs away from other folks because we have technology in certain ways that now conveniently do things that before a physical person used to do. I think there's an argument even outside of the AI conversation. Like we've been doing that way before I think we even realized it. But AI is just like moved so fast, or seemingly so fast, and kind of taken over in such a fast way that I think that's a really, it's a valid one, but it's also an easy argument to make.
No, I love it. You just made me feel good about myself. So now
I don't want you to feel good.
Yeah. You just made me feel really good. So I'm like, okay.
I see both sides. I see both sides.
Well, guys, listen, let's clip here at 1 hour with Kirby and listen to this. Okay, good.
Abort mission, y'all. Abort mission. This is the end. Last question. Just kidding.
No, but I actually, the way I'm able to even think about it in my head is just kind of from the perspective of, one of the things I actually thought about doing was creating an education platform that teaches people kind of like how to do it. And then I remember a conversation I had with a CNA. She was a CNA. We were at the airport, and she had so she was like, oh, I'm a nurse. And I'm like, ooh, you bougie, you making that big bucks. She goes, no, that's an RN, they make the big bucks. So I'm like, so why don't you go do that? She goes, well, that's more school. I don't want to go back to school.
Yes,
right,
that's true. Yeah,
but a lot of people don't want to keep learning. So even if you said, because there's a saying that if you want to hide money, hide it in a book.
yeah. Don't hide it on the internet. Someone will find that. But
someone will find it. Just put it in a book. No one will open it.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah, which is fairly, and honestly, which is also interesting is I used to hate reading. And I started listening to a bunch of. I don't know if you heard about auto suggestion.
No.
Auto suggest. So think about it, right? Imagine if you're walking, just walking, you see your friends, right, and they're like. One of them comes like, Kirby, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, okay. Like, just check in. And it all comes like, Kirby, you don't look so good today. You sure you're fine? And you're like, dude, I'm fine. And then they're like, good. And then someone else comes to you like, Kirby, you look a little pale today. What's going on? Right? But then the more they keep saying it, after a while, you're going to look in the mirror like, what's going on? You're going to start actually, you're like, wait,
now I'm starting to feel the thing that you're saying. Yeah.
So there's a thing called autosuggestion, where autosuggestion is in a sense as to where if you repeat the same thing over and over again, the subconscious mind starts to accept it as a reality. Right? So one of the things I did was every day for I think almost 6 months, I would always repeat to myself, I would like, I love reading books. I love waking up early. Like, oh my God, like when I read books, it's like, oh yes, I get excited. And I kid you not, like clockwork. I've read about probably 200 books in the past 2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So auto suggestion works. You learn something new every day. I don't know how people don't like learning, because that's really cool. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah, but because the thing is, it's your identity. Like same thing. You're like, I love you. Like you're like, yeah, I enjoy reading books. You read books. You probably like read books on aliens. But yeah, you love reading books. So
I like eating broccoli. Let me say that every day. I like eating broccoli.
I think subconscious mind is like, we disagree with you on that one. Absolutely not. No broccoli. And which is also another thing where it worked is. So have you ever tried pineapple pizza?
It is not my thing. I have tried pineapple pizza. No shade to anyone that likes to put pineapple on their pizza. That is just not my thing.
Okay. So up until 4 months ago, I used to believe in that. I was one of those people in the camps. It was. I fought the war against pineapple pizza.
Did you do that before you tried it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I tried it, and I was like,
not so bad.
Not so bad. Now when I get pizza, there's pineapple on it. I feel like, I've lost all elements of my humanity now. But okay, as we wrap up here, by the way, I know you usually do interviews. Do you have any question that you want to ask? Any interview? Like, what's your first questions you typically ask?
The first question I typically ask, or that Amir and I usually ask in our podcast, is what's something that brought you joy today?
Ooh, that's a tough one. What's something that brought me joy today?
Exactly, right? Yeah, Emmanuel, what is something that brought you joy today?
Okay, so I will. This is gonna be. This is a little deep,
Yeah.
which is interesting. So this morning I woke up, and after my workout, so after I finish working out, that's when I read, because usually in the morning there's no one is talking to you, no phones ringing, nothing. So that's when I read, and then usually before I met my lovely girlfriend, right?
Mhm.
She's on the stairs watching this, so I gotta make sure. So I would, every time I would work and everything, it kind of felt there was this element of, no matter how successful I was, there was no one else to share it with.
Mm.
Right. So it would always be, I mean, there was people around, but I never really opened myself up to let someone, be shared with someone. And I remember one of the exciting things that I like is, after I work out and do my morning stuff, she's right there and she does this give me a hug kind of thing, like,
Yeah.
and it's kind of it's one of those things that I miss, especially when I'm on the road. I'm like, I miss the,
I
I'm like,
love
oh,
this.
yeah,
I
so
love
that
this.
was one of the things I would say gave me joy is knowing that, because the success is still going to come, but there's that element of, because this, like, your brain is, but you're an entrepreneur, right? We feel there's an element of loneliness that comes with being an entrepreneur,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
I
not a
mean,
lot of
also,
people understand
yeah.
you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I love that. This is why we ask this question, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
like, even if you're having a bad day, there's always something to be grateful for. I love that. That was a really good response. You
Okay.
already
Now
you
that
already won the game. Yeah, you love
I didn't even know. It's like that got deep there for a little bit. I was now you have me all emotional.
See,
Listen, guys. All right.
that is my, I feel like that's one of my superpowers. I love connecting with people on that level. I love, like, talking about work and career and how you got to where you're being and your success and things of that nature is awesome, right? I love
Yeah.
that. But being able to connect with humans, like being to being, and have real conversations about real things and find things in common that you may not have even realized you had in common before. That's what I love. That's what I do. That's why I do the things that I do. I love
I
it.
love it.
And
I
like I
love
said,
it.
I'm an only child. I did not say this. I'm an only child. So when you're
Uh
talking about
huh.
that loneliness factor, we're here. I feel you.
I'm not an only child. I grew up with
I
five
know,
siblings. So
but
yeah. So
that
you
sentiment you
know,
shared, I understand that.
I had to ask dad, like, when they say, "Oh, we love you guys," like, really? Which one? You know, I love you. Like, which one? Because there's four other siblings here. You got to pick. Which one's your favorite?
Yeah,
So
which one's your
you know,
favorite?
which was your favorite? Okay, so as we're wrapping up here, I have series of, I call them dumb fun questions. Okay,
Okay.
now, so the first question is this: is do you ever watch the shows you publicize?
All of the time. Every
All of them.
single one. I need to know what I'm watching to be able to promote it.
Okay. And you promote on social media? You guys do social media?
Yeah, we're on social media for sure, but I mean, like, on my job, like, getting the show out there, like, talking to having journalists speak with talent, to producers, directors, to understand, what the shows are all about.
Oh, you set that up.
Yeah, yeah. So if you see someone
Ooh.
doing interviews on, I'm making this up, like X, Y, and Z publication, you see them doing an interview on, Today's Show or anything like that. A publicist, 9 times out of 10, is the person that set that up.
Nice. Nice. Next time I'm
Yeah.
watching, like, a famous artist or something on a, I'm like, whoa, Kirby probably
Someone
set
did
this
that.
up.
Someone picked
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you never know. You never know. When you become famous, now you can set it up yourself. You got the secrets. Okay. So
Listen, it's the
second one.
evolution podcast. I'm turning it into the manifestation podcast. That's what I feel like is
Amen.
happening
Woo!
here.
So, all right. Second question is: have you ever met Mark Hamill in a Star Wars costume? I know that was, but yeah.
In
So,
a Star Wars costume? No,
yeah.
but I have had the honor and the pleasure of meeting and working with Mr. Hamill.
Is he as cool? Is he like as cool as
Cool as a cucumber.
love
So
it.
cool. Very
I
sweet,
love
very kind. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So no, that's pretty much most of the
And
this is another one. All right. So if you had to pick a movie from the 90s, okay, to be a star in, which one would you be? Which one would you pick?
a movie?
Yeah.
Now, this is, the craziest thing, the first thing that came to my mind?
What?
Good Burger. Isn't that ridiculous? Because I haven't thought about that film in a really long time. So the fact that that was the first thing that came to mind, I'm just going to
Good
run with it.
Burger.
I'm going to run with it.
Okay.
It seemed like you had a really fun time filming that.
Let me pull this up. Let me pull this up for people who don't know what good the movie good. It was a show, right? Yeah, it was a show.
Well,
Was it a movie?
film, and then it was a movie. As
Oh,
well as The
okay,
Parent
yeah.
Trap. Parent Trap's another good one.
Okay, let me pull this up, guys. So for anyone else who hasn't watched this, this is right here, The Good Burger.
Keenan and Kel, yes.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So now, guys, we gotta do a rewatch of this. We gotta all do a rewatch of this. But yeah, Kirby, it was absolutely awesome. And where can people find you, by the way?
Yeah, you can find me across social media. You can find me on LinkedIn. I have some pretty interesting titles. So Instagram is Curb Your Enthusiasm. Twitter is Curb Your Appetite. Or you can just follow me on LinkedIn at Kirby Dixon.
So you just like Kirby. Okay, I don't know why it's curb your enthusiasm and curb your appetite.
Yeah, I'm really not that interesting, y'all. So, but thank you for this opportunity.
No, it's fine. This was absolutely awesome. I actually enjoyed it. You're a natural at this. Definitely, guys. The links are going to be in the description to Table is Out podcast, which is sponsored by Lifetime, and also connect with Kirby on Instagram, connect with Kirby on LinkedIn, and guys, listen, do me a favor, reach out to her and ask her, where are the aliens? Where can we find the aliens? Because she's hiding something about these aliens, guys. I can tell. She's like, because she probably has to see some. Because here's a secret, guys. For movies, okay, let me see. They usually, if it's based on a true story or based on something factual, they usually have somebody who has a story to be there. So if they're doing stuff on aliens, it means that they actually have aliens on set giving instructions on the spaceship. Check that out. Dun, 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 dun. All right, guys, everyone, you guys have a good one. If you're on Spotify, hit the follow. Don't let me find you.
Hit the follow
and sub to the channel, and definitely go check out Kirby. And thank you.